We're going to start lying on our backs. I need to make sure that you can see me because we are doing weird things on our backs today. All right. So feet wide, knees knocking in together. Adjusting to find your pelvis even on both sides, shoulder blades, rib cage, even on both sides. And just because it is easier and you all tend to come back week after week, I'm going to label what these cues are, or I'm going to give them a label. I'm going to call them the ID cues. So they'll sound very familiar because I say them a lot. Chin tucked, so drawing the chin in towards your throat and lengthening the back of your neck. Broadening across the collarbones, bringing the shoulders into neutral. So we're not taking the shoulder blades down the back and we're not lifting them up. We're allowing them to rest more in that stage between, which is neutral. Drawing the lower ribs in and slightly down towards the top of the pelvis, moving the back of your rib cage towards the floor without pressing the lower back into the floor. Front and back of the hip points in relative neutral. So pelvis is neither tucked nor tilted too far away from the floor. And think of drawing your pubic bone up towards your navel to the point where you feel engagement, but the lower back is not pressing into the floor. Reaching the tailbone down between your heels. Tongues resting on the roof of your mouth. And begin to breathe in and out through your nostrils. Let's start with one hand on the bottom of your rib cage, one hand right below your collarbones. And just begin to notice the movement beneath your hands. And notice how much movement you feel beneath the hand on your belly, how much movement you feel beneath the hand on your chest. And if you do feel movement beneath the hand on your chest, begin to try to minimize this movement. So quiet down the muscles of the chest, the neck. Having our chin in that position of drawing towards the chest, towards the throat, helps to create proper engagement of the neck muscles, which ideally lessen the amount of movement you feel in the upper chest. But if you do feel movement in the upper chest, try to minimize it. And then noticing the movement beneath your hands on your lower rib cage, that belly region, the lower rib cage. Notice how much it pushes forward into your hand. And begin to imagine, instead of it pushing forward, it spreads outward across the fronts of your rib cage. Almost as if the inhalation is stretching that skin outward as you inhale. And begin to shift your awareness to your exhale and allow the inhalation to become Instead, just a reflex to your exhale. So extending the length of your exhale, either to a count of 6 or 8. And allowing the inhalation to follow, just to be. Start to bring awareness to the back of your rib cage and where it connects to the floor. And as you remain with this extended exhale, natural inhale, just notice any sensation in you that you feel in this region of the rib cage that connects to the floor. Walk your feet in so that your heels are in line with your sit bones. Bring your arms out like a starfish and reach through your fingertips, feeling the shoulder blades kind of glide outward with your hands, so away from your spine. Bend your right elbow and take it behind your head, supporting the base of your head and neck where they attach. We'll keep our knees bent for the first few rounds of this. Turn your head and look towards your left elbow, and then look towards your left hand. Imagine that beyond the fingertips of your left hand is something that you really want to reach. But you can't reach it with your left hand. Instead, you would reach it with your elbow. So continue to look at your left fingers. Inhale, and as you exhale, roll, reaching your right elbow towards your left hand, rolling the right side of your upper body, so the rib cage, off the floor. Hold here. Inhale, keep looking beyond the hand. And as you exhale, slowly roll back down with control. We're going to do this a few more times in this way. Inhale to prepare. Look towards your hand, and as you exhale, lift right side of the body off the floor, upper body, reaching elbow towards your hand. Inhale. Exhale, roll back down with control. Notice the tendency to try to lift your hips, keep them on the ground. Inhale, turn your head, gaze at your hand. Exhale, roll up, reach the elbow towards the hand, like you're trying to reach whatever's beyond the hand with your elbow. And as you exhale, roll back down. Straighten your legs to the ground. Allow the legs to rest comfortably open, toes rolling out. Inhale. Turn your head towards your hand. As you exhale, lift off again, lifting the upper side of your body off, stretching your shoulder blade, your elbow towards the hand. Let your right foot turn inward as you stretch and reach your right fingertips beyond your left hand. Inhale here. As you exhale, bring your hand back to the back of your head and slowly roll back down. Inhale to prepare. Turn your head. Exhale, elbow bent. Roll up halfway. Turn the foot in. Extend the arm and reach beyond your left fingertips. Reach. We're working with obliques here. Inhale. Bring the hand behind your head. Exhale, roll back down. And do this 2 more times. Inhale to prepare. Turn the head. Exhale, elbow stays bent, start to roll up. Once you've gone as far as you can, let the foot turn in and reach and extend your fingertips beyond the left hand. Inhale, elbow bends, bring up behind your head, slowly roll back down so it's controlled. Inhale to prepare. We move as we start to exhale, rotate, elbow lifts, foot turns in, reach, keep reaching. Keep the inner edge of your foot on the floor. Keep reaching further. Gaze towards whatever it is beyond your hand. Keep reaching until you flip. Rolling onto your belly. Stack your hands underneath your forehead. Press your elbows down. Lift the top of your sternum between your shoulder blades to find a little bit of that movement of your upper back. Breathe into your diaphragm. Feel the side and back ribs expand. Keep pushing the top of your sternum up between your shoulder blades. So we're creating natural thoracic kind of curve, right? The thoracic spine actually rounds backwards, where the lumbar spine rolls more forward. So you have more of an extension in your lumbar spine, more of a flexion in your thoracic spine where the rib cage is. Let it go. Stretch your arms out as we did lying on our back. So that's starfish pose. Keep your left hand reaching out to the side. Bring your right hand to the back of your head. Lift your chin towards your throat. So find your IDQs. Inhale to prepare. Lift your head, start to turn towards your elbow, lift up. So we're moving the obliques in the opposite direction. We're lifting up the right side of the chest away from the floor. Inhale. Exhale with control, come back down. Inhale into the rib cage. Turn your head, exhale, rotate right side of the body off the floor. Inhale, exhale, come back down. Inhale into the back of the ribs. Exhale, turn your head towards your elbow. Rotate, open, right. Exhale, roll back down. We're going all the way back onto our back this time. Inhale into your rib cage. Turn your head towards your elbow, rotate up, straighten the arm, look up towards your thumb. Reach the hand behind you, head follows, roll onto your back. If you need to change your position so you don't roll into something, we're doing the other side now. So arms out, starfish. Knees are bent for the first couple. Take your hand behind, left hand behind your head. Inhale. Turn your head towards your right hand, gaze towards your right hand, roll up, reaching your elbow towards your right hand, keeping your left hip on the ground. Inhale. Exhale, come back down. Inhale to prepare. Turn your head first, gaze, rotates you, elbow makes the obliques turn on. Inhale. Exhale, roll back down. Straighten your legs to the ground. Inhale into your rib cage. Exhale, turn your head, lift the elbow, reach it towards your hand. Turn, left foot down to the ground, inner edge of the left foot down. Hips stay heavy, moving towards the floor. Inhale. Exhale, leg, hip drops, slowly rotate back down. Again, inhale. Upper body moves first. Turn the head, turn the elbow, peel off, reach the elbow towards the hand. Foot falls in. Inhale. Opposite foot drops out. Keep reaching the elbow, hip to the floor, roll back down. So we're going for it, long arm this time. Inhale. Exhale, turn the head, elbow lifts, foot falls in, reach the hand beyond the hand on the ground, like you're reaching for that favorite toy. I say that because this is what this comes from, is how kids learn to flip over. Inhale, bend the elbow, roll back down. These oblique muscles, do this 2 more times, kind of on your own. You should know by now. These oblique muscles are actually formed by when we learn how to roll. How many times do you roll? Has your body forgotten how to do this? Sometimes this can be really challenging. You're doing it in segments. This time, hand continues to reach beyond, reach, really feel your side body stretch, and then let yourself roll onto your belly. Stack your hands under your forehead, gently move your sternum up between your shoulder blades. So we're creating that thoracic curve in our upper back. Lower belly's off the floor, so we have awareness of the integrity of the support of the spine and the muscles that support it. And stretch your arms out wide, back to that starfish. Left hand comes behind the head. Inhale, start to turn the head to look at the elbow, and then lift the left side off the floor. Hips stay on the floor. Roll back down. I'm gonna watch you. Inhale to prepare. Eyes move first. That's what leads you. Elbow lifts. Follow the gaze of your elbow with your eyes. Really feeling that rotation. Inhale and come back up. Inhale, prepare. Turn your head, start to gaze at your elbow. Elbow keeps going, arm straightens. Reach the arm back, over, and allow that to motivate the flip. Good. That was fun. Take a few breaths. And when you're ready, come up to hands and knees in whatever way wants to get you to the hands and knees. And then just sit back on your heels for a second. So when we do these IDQs, chin tucked, neck long, collarbones broad, it's not this. This is not broad, right? It's more of a natural, where the shoulders are slightly rolled forward, right? So we're not trying to do this. Slightly rolled forward, because that's natural. Lower ribs are drawing in, and the pelvis is in neutral. So we've worked on creating that lower back flexion and extension in cat-cow. We're gonna do it with the thoracic spine. And as you're sitting here, just notice your lower back curves forward. If you're looking at it from the back, it's more of a concave curve, where the thoracic spine is more of a rounding out, right? Convex. So this natural curve, we tend to lose. And when we do shoulders back, just put your shoulders back and notice what happens to that thoracic spine, right? The rib cage moves completely forward, and the thoracic spine either goes completely straight or it goes into extension. And although that's not a bad movement, that's not where we want to hang out. We want to be where we actually have that natural curve of our spine. So there is some rounding through the upper back. That's where we move into a position where the rib cage mirrors our pelvis, right? So the ribs down and in creates that natural thoracic spine. And when that happens, the shoulder blades kind of roll out slightly. So just pause here and feel it. And again, we don't always want to be here. We want to create movement in our spine, but when we're in a relaxed position, there should be this idea of natural. So we've done this in the lumbar spine. So now coming to hands and knees, remember when we have made flexion and extension only happen in the lumbar spine? We're going to do the same for the thoracic spine. So hands and knees, shoulders above your wrist, knees below your hips, chin drawing in and towards your throat, so lengthening the back of the neck. Press down through your hands, and as if you were twisting your hands apart, lower ribs down and in, pelvis relative to neutral, front to back. So just take a few breaths here and see if you can breathe into that neutral spine of the thoracic spine. So in this position, the shoulders are wrapping more towards the outside of the rib cage. And when you breathe, you're feeling the expansion of the rib cage, not only in the front, but also in the back. And it's almost as if the rib cage is supporting your shoulder blades, which, you know, it should. And then start to use the breath to find extension and flexion in the thoracic spine. So this is not from the shoulder blades moving. This is from the spine moving. And you might experiment with the breath to feel how the breath can help this. The bottom of the rib cage is not moving very much. Really move into the space of your spine and allow the movement to be from that region. And there's very little movement in this region of the spine, even less than in the lumbar spine. Shoulder blades are staying stable, so they're not moving. But you may feel the rib cage move into the shoulder blades, spreading them slightly, it feels like slightly, and then kind of moving away from it. Good. Come back and rest on your heels. So we're going to play with this idea of kind of keeping that thoracic natural curve in the thoracic spine throughout the rest of the class. So we kind of found it when we were rolling on the floor naturally. Keep your heels on your hips and bring the hands to the floor. About shoulder distance apart. Peel your lower belly off the floor and reach your sit bones back. So you're keeping the pelvis in neutral. So there's not the rounding in your lower back. You're finding that natural curve in your lower back. And then find the natural curve in your thoracic spine. Keep your left hand on the ground. And again, your shoulder blade is rolling on the outside there. So there's some protraction. And the rib cage is supporting the shoulder blade. Take your left hand behind your head. Take a breath, trying to fill the back of your rib cage, finding that natural rotation, flexion in the front of the spine. And then as you exhale, move your elbow towards your left forearm. But don't sink the rib cage away from the shoulder blade. So keep it pressing into the shoulder blade. As you inhale, gaze towards your elbow and roll up. Notice if you lose your flexion in your thoracic spine and try to maintain it as you move back and forth. So the back of the rib cage is keeping that rounding. The hips aren't moving. So the rotation is kind of coming from where the 12th rib attaches to your spine. And I feel like I can feel my rib cage kind of glide inside that natural kind of pocket of my shoulder blade, but it's staying attached to it.
So it's rounding, it's fitting into that natural pocket of your shoulder blade. Next time you come up, keep your elbow lifted. Bring your left hand to your lower back. Maintain the lower back curve. Find the bottom of your rib cage drawing in. Maintain your thoracic curve. Inhale, rotate open, look up towards your elbow. And exhale, continuing to fold forward, rotate the opposite direction. So now we're really asking the obliques to work as we rotate side to side. You can keep your hand on the ground if you can't maintain that natural curve of your ribs. And again, you may feel as if your shoulder blades are gliding on your rib cage. They're supposed to. So let it go. Come up and just roll the shoulders. So simple, not easy, right? Takes a lot of awareness. And when we are moving the rib cage in the way that it's supposed to be, we're using the obliques more effectively. Hands to the floor. So you're leaning forward, sit bones reach back, find the natural curve of your low back. Peel your belly off your thighs. Find the natural curve of your thoracic spine. Keep your right hand on the ground, left hand comes behind the head. Notice right away, have you lost? Have you moved into extension? Keep flexion. Turn and gaze up towards your left elbow. Notice when you lose it. Try to maintain that curve as you rotate all the way through. So we're exploring scapular thoracic stability and the shoulder girdle, which is supported by a thoracic spine that is active through the use of the external obliques. Yes, the external obliques are a shoulder muscle, but they're also a rotation muscle. Hi, Rush Dog. Next time you lift up, stay up. Bring your right hand to the small of your lower back, finding the natural curve, lifting the lower ribs towards the spine, finding the natural curve of the thoracic spine, and then continue to lean forward as you find the same rotation. When the external obliques work, your shoulders feel better. Your mid-back, that space between your mid-back. Oftentimes we think it's the rhomboids or the levator. And in reality, oftentimes it's the external obliques. Shift forward, hands to the floor, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and come into downward facing dog. So use this down dog to kind of release some of that tension. Maybe shifting as you bend one knee, pointing it to the opposite direction, opposite heel to the ground to stretch the side body. So allowing some release of the obliques, although they're still helping to maintain you in downward facing dog. Come to center. Step your feet mat distance apart and up about a footprint. Press the fronts of your thighs back as you lift and spread your sit bones. Find your ID cues. So chin tuck, neck long, lower ribs down and in, natural curve in your lower back. So notice if your lower back is rounding and find extension. And as you find extension in your lower back, notice what happens to your thoracic spine. So as if you were lifting the top of your rib cage up into your shoulder blades and then rounding through to where they connect to your 12th rib. Press down more through your right hand. Lift your left hand and bring it behind your head. Really pressing down through your right hand. Keep your rib cage in your shoulder blade. Inhale, gaze towards your left elbow, rotating open. As you exhale, twist. taking your head underneath your arm. Notice when you lose the support of your rib cage, bring it back and then stretch left hand to the outside of your right calf. Bring left hand down. Firm the fronts of the thighs, press them back, realign to your cues. Press down more through your left hand, right hand comes to the back of your head. Notice when you lose it, lift your rib cage up into your shoulder blade. Inhale, lift your head into your hands as you rotate open to the right, gazing towards your elbow. Don't lose it. Notice where the rib cage goes in the shoulder blade. Bring it back in. And then as you twist, gaze beyond your left foot and stretch left hand to the outside of your calf. Keep trying to lift your thoracic rib cage into your shoulder blade. Release, hands to the floor. Gaze between your hands, roll your thoracic spine forward as you shift your shoulders above your wrist, and then walk your hands or feet up to your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Lift your thoracic spine first. Reach the crown of the head, find neutral in your low back and your mid back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up, arms come over your head. All right, so going into the sun salutations, we've introduced the movements. We're gonna try to continue to find these throughout the class. Feet together, arms over your head. Take a moment to move the rib cage back into your shoulder blades. Yeah, left hand comes beside your hip. Take your right hand behind your head. Start to move your hips to the right as you take your left hand down. Notice what happens and see if you can find shoulder blade inside on top of the ribs. Inhale, gaze up towards your right elbow, moving the shoulder blade on the rib cage. You will go into slight extension, but minimize it. Exhale, rotate elbow towards the other side, really moving the rib cage out into your hand, into your shoulder blade as you reach the elbow and look beyond your foot. Do this 2 more times. Taking slow, note what happens in your rib cage. And you're trying to minimize the movement as you move your shoulder blade around the natural curve. And hopefully as you do that, you start to feel how much your obliques have to work to create that movement instead of relying on the movement of the spine. Next time you lift up, stay up, switch. Opposite hand behind your head. I can't remember which way I cued it, so just do the opposite. Start to move the hips as the hand reaches down. Find your rib cage moving where it goes, and then turn your head, gaze up towards your elbow. Keep the rib cage where it is and rotate elbow to point towards the opposite side of the mat. Explore this movement several more times. Notice your natural tendencies, like what does your body want to do? And what do you have to turn on in order to make the obliques do the movement rather than the spine do the movement? Next time you come up, stay up. Bring both arms over your head. Hinge from your hips, fold. Hips reach back. Inhale, halfway lift. Puff up the back of the rib cage without losing the lower back curve. Exhale, fold. Step back into plank pose. Press the hands down, isometrically twist out. Move the rib cage or the top of the sternum as if it's going up between your shoulder blades. Feel that the shoulder blades come to the outside of your rib cage. Lower back curve. Find the bottom arch of the thoracic spine. Lower the knees to the floor. Keep your right hand on the floor. Press rib cage into the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades come to the outside of the body. Find your lower back curve, so neutral spine. Tuck your left toes under. Stabilize the outer right hip or outer left hip. Stretch your right leg back and then rotate by pulling the right rib cage back. Stacking your right hip on top of your left. Roll it back, knees touch. Straighten the leg back. Puff into the back of your rib cage and then rotate open by drawing the back of your right rib cage towards the left. Left hip hugs in. Roll it back in, knees touch. Straighten the leg. Push. Right rib cage over to the left, left hip hugs in. Rotate back. Knees touch. One more time, reach the leg back. Puff up the back and then rotate the back of the right rib cage over to the left. Bring your right foot down to the ground. Take your left toes over to the back edge of your mat. Take your left knee down slightly and stack right knee on top of left. Hand behind your head, puff up the side of the rib cage and then move the rib cage back. So finding the awareness at the left side of your rib cage in your left shoulder blade. Roll your head up, feeling the rib cage rotate inside of your left shoulder blade, and then twist, reaching the elbow towards the floor. Do this a couple of more times. With awareness of the thoracic spine and the thoracic rib cage and the connection to the inside or the front of your shoulder blade. Inhale, come back up. Rotate back, both hands to the floor and come back into that hands and knees position. Press down through the hands. Move the rib cage into your shoulder blades. Find the lower back curve, lower ribs down and in, all the cues. Weight on your right knee, right toe tucked under, hip hugging in. Sit in, left leg straight back. Rotation comes from the rib cage, drawing back to stack left hip on top of right knee. Keep hugging the hip in. Rotate back down. Find this a few more times. I'm going to watch. So movement is initiated by the back of your rib cage, rotating you open. You're still feeling the rib cage pushing into the shoulder blades. So you're keeping integrity in the shoulders, but the rib cage is what is creating that platform for your shoulder blades. Feels interesting, doesn't it? This is one I made up. You're gonna do it one more time. Keep the left leg up, rotate it open, turn your right toes out to the other side behind you as you bring your left leg down. And then you're gonna take the right knee down slightly and stack left knee on top of right, right shoulder on top of right wrist. And push down, move the back of your rib cage into your shoulder socket, take your left hand to the back of your head, puff up left side of the rib cage, and then rotate with that same awareness. Hopefully this is becoming more and more, becoming way more aware of this movement and isolating it. I think it feels wonderful on all of these muscles of your core, side core, but also the shoulders. Don't let that shoulder sink. Keep the back of your rib cage in your shoulder blade as you rotate elbow. Don't let it drop, Grace. Don't let it drop out of the shoulder blade. Keep it up in it. Yes. Good. Both hands to the floor. Come back to center, tabletop, and lower your belly down to the floor. Elbows come to the floor. Bring your right knee out to the side like a frog. Lift your rib cage away from the floor. So find your core, find your thoracic spine. Bring your right hand behind your head and lift the rib cage in, open. Move the rib cage back into the right shoulder blade, left hand to the floor and open a little bit more. Notice how we lose the front. Find it by puffing rib cage. Lower down. Both elbows to the floor. Bend the left knee out to the side. Move the rib cage into the shoulder blades. Feel them glide to the outside of the rib cage, belly away from the floor. Right hand behind your head. Lift the elbow up as you rotate. Left rib cage, right rib cage towards left, but still moving rib cage back. Lower down. Stretch right leg beside left. Hands come in line with the bottom of the rib cage. We're going to move into plank pose. If you prefer going into tabletop, move with the same awareness. Inhale as if you're filling up the back body. Keep that awareness and imagine your back of your lungs like a balloon lifting you up to plank and then back to downward facing dog. Pause here. Use what you have been working with to find this ever stable downward facing dog in the shoulders, in the spine, in the core, and inevitably also in your hips. The more alive the core is, which is your thorax, your entire area between your shoulders and your sit bones, the easier down dog becomes. Inhale, come up onto your toes, gaze between your thumbs. Bend your knees, step or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, puff up, roll up. Arms come over your head, gaze up. Hands to heart center. Taking it to the next. Always have the option to go back to what we did the last time. Both arms come over your head. Right hand comes down to your hip. This time, arm stays straight. Reach. Left arm over as hips move slightly to the right. Turn your left palm up, gaze up, round back. Palm turns down, shoulder blade glides as you move the rib cage. So puffing out the left side of your rib cage into your shoulder blade. Explore. Hand rotates, palm rotates up as you go open. Palm rotates down as you go over to the right. Notice how much you're moving your hips, your spine. Try to minimize that, creating the movement from the rib cage, which is more external oblique, and to some degree, internal oblique. To come up, reach left arm all the way up and over and switch. Glide hand down, hips out. Turn your head over to the right. Palm rotates up as you rotate. Right rib cage towards left, left rib cage back. Palm rotates down, rib cage rotates over. Find this movement. Shoulder blades are involved, but they're more from the perspective of sliding and gliding on this base of your thoracic rib cage. Reach right arm up, both arms come up. Stretch. Exhale, chin towards chest, roll down as hips push back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step to the back of your mat, plank pose. Press hands down and move the sternum towards your spine, so rounding through the thoracic spine. Shoulder blades glide on the outside. Feel that stability. Step your feet mat distance apart. Keep your shoulders where they are. Turn both of your heels to the left. Heels come to the ground. Come up through center. Tap both of the heels to the right. So start to move side to side. So you feel it start with the legs, but can you shift the awareness to move more from the rib cage? So the rib cage initiates the movement to take the hips and the heels to the opposite side. Shoulders don't move at all. Like there's no gliding of shoulders side to side. There's no dropping the rib cage away from the shoulder blades. Like they're in there. Good. Next time you rotate to the right, stay to the right. Step left foot forward in front of your hips. Push rib cage up and then move the right rib cage into your shoulder blade. Left hand to your head. Inhale, rotate up, reach the arm back, palm faces up, twist, reaching right arm under. Left arm. Move again. You know what we're doing now. Notice when you move into extension of your thoracic spine and try to maintain that flexion instead. One more. Bring both hands to the floor, straighten your left leg down and shift to the other side. So drop your heels to the other side and then bring your right leg forward. Start by pushing that outer right rib cage up. So finding that rounding on the right side. Hand can start behind the head. Rotate eyes up towards the elbow, stretch, rotate your rib cage back, and then move the opposite way. So we're finding the rotation of the rib cage, but we're also highly aware of when we lose the stability of the shoulder, the left shoulder. So you want to try to keep the rib cage fully pressing and not dumping into that shoulder. Good. All right. Bring both hands back down to the floor. Come into plank pose or tabletop. I know it's a lot. Reach to the crown of the head. Lift the sternum up between your shoulder blades and either knees, chest, chin, or try to maintain the shoulder blades and the rib connection as you lower down. Don't squeeze the shoulder blades together. Keep that connection of thoracic spine, or rib cage, and your shoulder blades. Super weird, right? Bend your right knee out to this side. Press down through your left elbow, lift your rib cage away from the floor. So rounding. Right hand comes to the floor, start to rotate open. Bring right hand, reach it behind you. Rotate it over, reach the hand forward. Keep lifting thoracic rib cage into your shoulder blade as you rotate open. Don't lose it. Notice the dumping that happens in both of your shoulder blades and try not to dump. Bring your right elbow back down, switch sides. Bend left knee out to the side. Press down through your elbows, lift your belly, moving thoracic spine in. So you feel the shoulder blades glide to the outside of your rib cage. That's protraction. And then come up onto your left hand, start to rotate, feeling as you rotate, the rib cage staying in that rounded position in the back, creating stability as you now go into retraction. Reach, left arm up, and then back. Move the rib cage into your hand, into your shoulder blade, and then start to reach forward and back. Maintain that awareness in both shoulder blades. We're asking obliques, muscles along the sides of the spine, all the core muscles. Next time you come down, bring the elbow down, straighten right leg beside left, forehead to the floor, heels of the hands in line with the bottom of the rib cage. Notice how we automatically dump into the spine. Lift your rib spine, that's called your sternum, the breastbone up between your shoulder blades, and draw your shoulder blades out to the side and slightly down. Tuck your toes under. Start to lift the bottom of your thoracic spine off the floor. And then as if your lungs are balloons, inhale. And then as you exhale, keep them inflated as you lift up to plank. And back to downward facing dog. So fun, right? Move side to side, bending one knee and then the other. And just notice what's going on in your hips, your shoulders, your side body. And then lower knees to the floor. And come into a seated position. Hi, Rush Dog. Yes, you are in like the absolute worst place that you can be. Go on. Good boy. Keep going. Legs out. Yes, Rush Dog. I see you. Go on. Sit bones on the floor. Spine long. Go on, Rush Dog. Go on. Go on. Find your cues. Fingertips to the floor to the outside of your hips. Reach your heels and inseams long. Keep your right hand on the floor, left hand behind your head. So traditional twists we're doing here. Inhale, rotate the way we've been doing, gaze up towards your left shoulder. Reach left hand up. Open the palm and push your rib cage out a little bit. Turn your head to gaze towards your right foot. And then to twist, push thoracic spine to the left, finding that movement of rotation. Then reach palm towards your right foot, belly out over your thigh. Maintain rib cage moving into the shoulder blade as you gaze, grab shin, ankle, or foot. Use your right hand pushing down into the floor and away from you to create more of that awareness. And then rotate left rib cage towards right, turning and looking behind you. Switch your hand position to the outside of your shin, ankle, or foot and start to move a little deeper into your twist. And then stretch right hand to grab the opposite side as now you move your belly towards your thigh. So less puffing out on the left side, more twisting and finding neutral. Release wherever you are, slide up your right leg. Hands behind your hips. Shift rib cage back. Start to twist towards your left leg. Bring your hand behind your head. Start to rotate left rib cage towards right rib cage without losing that thoracic curve. So it's as if the rib cage shifts back and we rotate around the spine. Stretch your arm, palm facing up and back, reach back a little bit more without moving into extension. And it's not that extension is wrong, it's just not what we're doing today. Turn your head to gaze towards your left foot. And as you twist, move your rib cage back in space, shoulder blade glides on the outside. And as you twist, reach towards your shin, ankle, or foot. Press a little bit more through your left hand, pushing forward in order to move your rib cage back. And then moving the hand to the outer edge of your shin, ankle, or foot. Start by pushing into the right side a little bit more. And then start to stretch your chest towards your foot as you move your spine, rib cage more into neutral, and move your left hand to grab the opposite side of your shin, ankle, or foot. And now rotating more navel towards your thigh, but maintaining the back rounding of your thoracic spine. So often I teach new movements. It doesn't mean that these are movements that you should always do. They're just explorations of movements that create subtle changes in your body that maybe will help you everyday life and also in your practice. Use your hands to press yourself back up, come back to neutral, bring your feet in. Heels towards hips. Shift back. So moving back, move your rib cage back in space. So finding the thing, keep the thing. We also want that lower back curve as you lift your heels off the ground. Arms reach forward, gliding the shoulder blades, but keeping the top of your sternum lifted without the bottom of your rib cage pushing up. Cross your ankles and round forward. Coming into flexion and just swaying gently side to side. Notice what you feel. To me, this work that I've been doing this week has created more freedom in my shoulders, more freedom in my rib cage, and more freedom in my spine than anything I've ever done before, ever. I no longer hate twists. Come up and come down onto your back. Feet wide, knees rest again. Gently find your cues. So we're not over exaggerating our cues. We're just setting up in a position that allows the diaphragm the most space for success. Bring one hand back to the top of your chest, one hand back to the lower rib cage. And without trying to do anything right, just breathe naturally in and out through your nose. So this Shavasana, or for today, we're using constructive rest pose. But this final resting posture allows your body to process the work, right? It puts your nervous system back into a space of parasympathetic, so rest and digest, calm. A space where your body and your mind and your breath can process and integrate. You may also feel slight vibration. So just kind of allow yourself to become aware of all the sensations. Allow yourself to acknowledge the thoughts that come up in response to those sensations. But try to resist getting stuck on the why or the how. Just observe. Just breathe. Being present in each moment. When we allow ourselves to go down the rabbit hole of the why or the how, we are leaving our present sense of body, of self, of mind, of energy, and getting stuck in the present or the past.
Slowly walk your feet together. Allow your knees to drop to either side, and then allow yourself to roll to that same side. Resting in the fetal position. Again, just a moment to check in. And then making your way up into a seated position. Notice where your mind goes. And then let it arrive. Thank you so much. Hands to heart, palms press. Bow into the space of your heart, rounding.